Hey, welcome back to Home and Heart with Christina. If it is your first time tuning into my channel, welcome. Thank you for subscribing. My name's Christina Hernandez. So today we have a very special topic. This is episode 6. If you haven't seen the prior episodes, I encourage you to do so that you can know more about what this channel is all about. It's all things home, faith, and life. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get right into it. I know in prior videos, I've been a little skeptical and a little nerve-wracking. Today, I'm just going to be raw and uncensored. It's going to be bold. I'm just going to be real with you guys. Not that I haven't been real prior, just me, being me. And just understanding that it's not about being perfect. It's about making a change, making an impact. So I hope that throughout this episode that in some kind of way once you finish watching this episode, you'll end up encouraged and motivated to do more than what it is you're currently doing, or maybe even taking a leap of faith on that you've been contemplating on doing. All right. So today will be raw and uncensored. I've titled this episode, Creating Better Habits. Keeping the momentum. All right. And there is a spoiler alert. I do have a secret to reveal, but I'll go ahead and reveal that to you at the end of the episode. So let's get right in. There's a couple of things that I want to share with you. One of them being why I decided to make a change, habits that I'm working on, what has been hard, and to be honest, it's been harder than I ever expected it. What it is and what it looks like to stay consistent and motivated. Getting back on track, even when you have setbacks. The emotional side of changing my lifestyle. And all this I wrote down because I don't want to forget specific details. Discipline, self-respect, how faith keeps me grounded, and hopefully I'm able to encourage you today to start again. All right. So let's get right into it. I'll start off with saying that the reason why I took so long from episode 5 to episode 6 is because I had a sit down recently, a one-on-one with what I call my coach. He's my team leader at the brokerage firm that I'm in. And because he doesn't like to be called a broker, he's our super team leader. I would say superb team leader. He's awesome. And I call him my my shrink, even though that's not his profession. But he's been quite an inspiration for me. He's motivated me. He's pushed me out of my comfort zone. So anyway, long story short, I was on one-on-one conversation with him. And he asked a very simple question. He asked, what's going on with your podcast, Home and Heart with Christina? I haven't seen a recent episode. You started off real good. What happened? And I was just honest. I told him I felt cringe every time I recorded because I did not like how I looked in the videos. Keep in mind, yes, I am overweight. Another point, let's understand that a camera always adds on a little weight. Okay, so things like the mirror in your vehicle says, things may seem closer than they appear. Well, in this case, the camera may make me seem a little thicker than I am. So anyway, for you to have a little chuckle there, but I am overweight and I know this. And so I was honest and open about why I had not recently posted. And I know I have to stay consistent because obviously if you are being gracious and supportive with my channel by subscribing, there's only one thing that I can do in return, and that is recording my podcast consistently. And that's one of the key words that we're going to often bring up in this episode, consistency. So I shared with him, and I said, I don't like how I look in the videos. I cringe and I want it to be perfect and so many other details. But mainly it was my appearance. It was about my appearance. So he pointed out one thing that really stood out to me was, well, what about your appearance don't you like? And so we got into the losing weight part, but it's not only about losing weight. It's about making a choice, a specific lifestyle, a change that will not only impact in my appearance, but overall in how I think and how I carry myself, in how my confidence went from being at a very low point to now being at, let's say we've increased medium level. I'm not 100% there. Believe me, my journey just begun. Disclosure. It just so happened that my son released his first song that's also titled Just Begun. Interesting. This journey is not nowhere near perfect, but this is just a journey that I want to continue on this journey for the rest of my life, because it's not only impacting on how I feel about myself, but it is also impacting on how I make life choices that sometimes they weigh heavy on us, and because there's a lack of confidence, we may not make the right choice. So long story short, just not to belabor this conversation that I had with him on one-on-one, he specifically said to me, you have a choice and you can make a choice, but I'm going to challenge you. He said, what is something that is very important to you? And the first thing that came to mind, obviously, was like my son. He said, well, I can't take your son away from you. So what else is important to you? And obviously, me being a part of the team is very important for me. And I said, well, being a part of this team. And he said, okay, so how about I challenge you to a 30-day challenge, which means you have to put in 10,000 steps per day for a period of 30 days. And every day before end of day, you have to take a screenshot of your steps and send them over to me before the end of day. If you miss one day, what is the consequence? And he asked me to think about the consequence. And I said, well, it has to be meaningful. And since this team is important to me, I said, well, if I miss a day, take me off the team. He's like, really? I said, yes. I said, take me off the team. If I miss a day and I don't complete the 10,000 steps per day in those 30 days, the consequence will be I will be removed off the team. So he said, okay, this is official. Day 1 starts today. And so I am going to confess right now that this challenge was anything but easy. It was difficult. There was times that I really wanted to I was thinking to myself, what did I just get into? There was days that I had to work around a tough schedule, like being a mother and having to cook and making sure that I'm all over the place, and also just growing my business as well. So it was challenging to work around the schedule and having to do about 4 to 5 miles a day in order to get my 10,000 steps in per day. And it was challenging, very challenging. And so in the middle of those, in the midst of those 30 days, there was a few things that I've learned. I learned the reason why I had a problem. It's not that I had a toxic relationship with food. It's just how I was raised. So growing up, when I was little, I was always taught that wasting food was a sin. It was called that way in our Hispanic culture. You waste food, it's a sin. You can't throw food away. So it was always me that my sisters would leave some food, and it was food that was delicious to me. Everyone would just say, oh, just give it to Christina, she'll eat it. Give it to Christina, she'll eat it. As long as we weren't wasting that food, I was more than happy to not be a sinner by wasting food. And so it was just that I developed that mindset. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that wasting food is a good thing. But what I am saying is that not to adapt that mindset when you overindulge and then it turns into gluttony. So that's the mindset that I grew up in. And I realized during these 30 days is that for some odd reason, you visit family members and guess what they have for you? Food. So for me, it's like I was always thinking, I would say, Mom, I'm on a diet. I can't eat that stuff. Oh, forget about the diet. Whoever's going to love you is going to love you the way you look. And it's just to think about it, it makes me laugh now. But before, it's like, how come she doesn't want me to be healthy? Does she realize that I can either die from being obese? But it's not that my mom didn't want what was best for me. It's just the fact that her love language was putting a plate of food on the table for me to indulge. It's not that there was a toxic relationship. It's just that's her love language. That's her way of saying, I love you. Here's a plate of food. And I want to hear what you think about that plate of food. Did you like it? Did you enjoy it? Because she has that hospitality in her. But we have, as my team leader said, we have control of what we put in our mouths. So if we have control over what we put in our mouths, then we have control of what we also decide to do. Those choices that we make. We don't have to eat a big plate of food to consider ourselves full. We just gotta eat the right portions, the right type of food so that we can live a healthy lifestyle. It's not just about the looks. For me, it's not just about the looks. Yes, appearance matter because wherever you go, if throughout my life, and ever since I became a Christian, I remember that one thing that stood out every time I would go street witnessing. One thing they would point out to me is, well, you say I'm a sinner, but you're sinning because of gluttony. You're overweight, and a lot of times I just said, well, that's an excuse because they don't want to really hear what the gospel is about, so they have to attack me. But no, it's true. There's people starving in the world, yet I'm over here appearing as if I have a problem with gluttony. So we do have control over the choices that we make. And yes, this is my weight loss journey, but maybe it's more than just a weight loss journey. Maybe it's an opportunity for us to really see the bigger picture. What does that childhood look like? What needs to change from that childhood? Growing up, I didn't have an easy childhood, and not because I had a bad mother. Was simply because there's things that happen in life that you can't control, but you and I can control how we go about it. We take responsibility over it, and we decide to not let it keep us down, but we use that to gain courage, gain strength, and just understand that through that obstacle, through that setback, we can come out of there stronger than ever before. There was a moment in my life that I said, why did this happen to me? I was just a little girl, innocent. Or why did this happen to me? I don't deserve that. I'm not a bad person. And so many whys and the what ifs, but that's not what really matters. What do we want to learn from every situation in life? I'm learning so much, not only about understanding that I need to eat healthy and be healthy, and my appearance matters, and how I carry myself matters, and how being overweight has stumbled my confidence for so many years. And sometimes we know what the answer is, but we don't take that extra step on deciding to make a difference, to be intentional about it. And once we're intentional about it, we stay consistent, because consistency equals perfection. It's not how we want to make sure that we alter videos or alter pictures, or maybe use a filter to look as if we have perfect skin, or like we're perfect in every image that we take of ourselves or picture that we take of ourselves. It's consistency equals perfection. And keeping that momentum going. There's something definitely going to change in your life and my life. As I said, if you have a setback, get back up, keep going. And here is the secret that I said I was going to reveal to you all throughout the episode. And please, Brad, don't take me off the team. Out of the 30 days, there was 2 days I cheated. I for those 2 days, my feet were swollen, and I really didn't have the strength to finish 10,000 steps. So I asked my son to wear my Apple Watch to account for those 10,000 steps and submit the picture before end of day. I cheated those 2 days. But you know what I learned from cheating those 2 days? I said I can make an excuse every day. If I found a way to cheat one day, and if I found a way to cheat 2 days, I can just cheat my way through this challenge. But I decided to not cheat again. And in fact, I decided to continue, even though this challenge is over, with my team leader. But I decided to continue to challenge myself, that although it's not easy, that although I don't see fast results, but I know that if I continue just pushing myself to move past the obstacles, to move past the setbacks, to move past those thoughts that come to mind and say, you can find an easier way out. I'm not going to do that. I've challenged myself. I actually am starting a new challenge come this upcoming week. I will tell you the date and time on my Instagram, the day and the time. And if you want to join this challenge and you're in the same position as I am, that you find yourself having low confidence, low self-esteem, you find yourself that's also impeding you from becoming the best version of yourself, then I encourage you to join this challenge with me. This is a 45-day challenge, 15,000 steps per day. And I will be creating, if you're a friend or a family member that is looking at this podcast, or that you just came across this podcast, you can find my Instagram there, Christina_SWFL Realtor. You can send me a message there. Let's start this challenge. 15,000 steps per day, 45-day challenge. And let's continue on this journey, because it's not only about getting through this challenge, it's just learning what it is, those repetitive behaviors that we have that are not benefiting us in any way. As a matter of fact, those days that I felt like I was discouraged and I needed motivation, and there was a moment of difficulty that I was having in that moment, I actually realized that day was the day that I input most steps. And in fact, my team leader pointed out, and he said, this is the most steps and more activity yet. And that day, believe me, I had a night that was upsetting, bothersome. But every round that I took and every mile that I accomplished, it just made me stronger. And then it had me thinking on how I can, even being under pressure, under amount of stress, I realized that I can push past that. That's resilience. And that's what you and I need to push past those obstacles. Staying consistent. Like I said, consistency equals perfection. Keeping the momentum going, removing the emotional side of things, and changing our lifestyle, our habits, those bad habits, gluttony, as it relates to weight loss. But most importantly, those thoughts that come to mind that we can't avoid, that negativity that comes to our mind, we're good for nothing, we're not going to accomplish anything. Those are the emotional pieces in our or thoughts in our mind that tell us that we're no good and we're not going to make it. If you and I have had a dream for so long, or we had a vision for so long, or you and I, we've always had an opportunity to write what our goals and what our vision are 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now. What does that look like? But if we don't change our habits, our lifestyles, if we don't stay consistent, that's not going to happen. So you and I'm taking you along with me on this journey. And not only we're going to take courage and move forward, but for me, what helps is understanding that I have a God by my side that will help me through this. Because without God, I cannot do anything. And let's encourage one another. If we started the year with 2026 goals and propositions, and we're midway and we haven't completed one out of the 10 item list, doesn't matter. Let's start today. It's just a matter of getting started, making the decision. So like I said, this is my real journey, and I'm done with the excuses. I'm done with the reasons why I can't accomplish this or that. The reason why I can't lose weight because it's so hard, because it's difficult, because of my age, because of this. There's so many reasons we can come up with excuses. Maybe you have envisioned yourself having your own business, and you start questioning, am I capable? You are capable. I'm capable. We can make it happen if we just stay consistent, take responsibility for our actions, and keep moving forward no matter what. So this was totally different, but this is home, faith, and all things life. So this is just a thing about me and my journey, and I hope that you're able to join with me on this journey, and I take you along with me, and let's just get through that finish line. And again, I'm not done. I'm just getting started. So please, if you know someone that needs encouragement, if you know someone that needs uplifting, that needs to hear that changing their perspective, changing their mindset, please go ahead and share this video with them. I appreciate you subscribing to my channel, and if you can, go ahead and share with others. I do need to reach 50 subscribers so that I can air live. For now, I'm pre-recording and then submitting. So I appreciate you for tuning in today, and let's get it. Thank you.